Josh Betar from the stands here, UFC 305 Fight Week, and today I am honoured to be joined by the head coach of one Dricus du Plessis, the UFC middleweight world champion, Morne Vissers. Morne, it is an absolute pleasure for me to get some of your time. I sincerely appreciate it very, very much. I know you guys are busy, so fitting me in your schedule, I really do appreciate it very, very much. Firstly, I want to know, obviously, you guys have been in Australia a little bit over a week and a half now since you guys got here, and obviously this is Dricus' first camp as the defending champion, you know, not a challenger anymore. He's now the champion, and I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts on how this has been for him and for you guys as a team, that transition from going from a challenger to a defending champion.
So obviously that's a tough question, but because we've only been the champion for a little while, so we haven't had really the joy of enjoying it too much. I think it wasn't a month after we've won the belt, there was already talks between us and our agent Ruby with the UFC to schedule an easy fight. And we actually thought that it wasn't going to happen, but we really started to prepare then. So we haven't had the joy so much of enjoying the belt. And the fact is that I think defending the belt is a tougher task than winning the belt. To keep it is not easy. We've seen it so many times with so many fighters, and then also obviously we're fighting arguably the best middleweight ever to be in the cage until we have arrived. So then also we in Perth, there's so many South Africans here. The Springboks are playing, so we've got so much support that it also means a lot more pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I spoke with Dricus back in June, I asked him what that was like becoming a champion for his teammates, and he said when he gave the answer, he said, I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about it. He said because what it's allowed him to do is his teammates that are training with him all the time are now getting the confidence to think, well, now I can become a world champion, because if they do well against Dricus in training, if they do something that is impressive against him, it builds the confidence in their mind that I'm doing this against a world champion. What does it mean I can do in their division or whatever? So what has that been like for you to see the improvement, not just of Dricus, but the team overall and the confidence level overall?
So obviously with being the champion, a lot of movie comes with it, which is tough, especially for Dricus, because everybody wants a piece of him, and so does his teammates. But one thing I've always made sure of, that I am super hard on the team, on the whole team. And that's honestly the only way you get everyone to evolve. So I've always had a big focus on making sure everybody gets better, and the better the team gets, the better Dricus will get. People would think that I've just got bags there for Dricus to train with. I make sure that doesn't happen. All these guys deserve their little spot. But on top of that, I make sure that Dricus gets the best training. It's tough because we are in South Africa. It's not like in Europe, and it's the same thing here in Australia. There's not a lot of training partners. So if you don't have training partners, bodies, it's tough. And if you do, you've got to protect them. Otherwise, they leave the gym. Nobody wants to be dragged on or in a cage, get hit and punched and taken down by a strong guy like Dricus. So I'll make sure the guys are up to it, up to the challenge, and it just up the whole game. The whole team is so much more positive. We were invited this morning, and they've actually asked me, can they have 5 international fights, 5 guys out of my gym for another organization. And that's not easy to get requests like that. People really, when you're a small gym out of Africa, they literally write you off.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, the biggest headline, one of the biggest headlines of this week was obviously the taser method that came out. My only question on that is, because I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it, is what was the thought process behind the taser? Like, why was it the taser and not something else? What was the reasoning behind the taser?
So I'm obviously getting a lot of flack from the tasing thing, especially from guys like Chael.
I saw that one.
Yeah, so it's tough, but it's very important to make this very clear. I do not coach girls. I do not coach amateurs. I only coach professional fighters. So nobody drops off his kit and his kid get kicks in the head and punched in the face and pay for it, and then I tase them. So I don't get paid for what I do, firstly. Secondly, what I used to do was I used to give the guys a proper low kick, which is painful, but it's also if you do it proper, that pain lasts for 5 or 6 days. So it puts the fighter out of training. But you've got to, so I warned him 2-3 times, then I will give them the option to get out of it. And usually all choose the low kick and tell them, guys, you're stupid. You're going to be out for 5 days. Take the protter, but I'll give you opportunity. If you can tell me what you did wrong, I won't tase you. And a lot of them do get away with it, and then they immediately fix the problem. And it's a tough thing because I even tase Dricus still. And Dricus also gets overexcited, and then he does things. If you, I can tell you, if the Dricus in the gym can fight in front of the world, that same Dricus, he will be unstoppable for the next 10 years in middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. So obviously, we're trying to copy and paste that. And the taser, a lot of guys, you've got to fast forward them a little bit. So I'm not going to beg anyone. They're not paying me for that. So that's the rule in the gym. Yeah. Whoever you are, if you've made a mistake, I'm going to warn you, and then you're going to have to change their minds a little bit. So it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing, I think.
Absolutely. And with you, I'll quickly touch on this while you mentioned it. Do you think as Dricus gets older, say the next 4 or 5 years, do you think that maybe a move to light heavyweight and heavyweight is in his future as he gets older and that weight cut becomes a little harder?
So obviously we've been in the middleweight now for 5 years, and we had to take a proper 1 year off competition to get him to move up from welter to middle, because it's easy to put the weight on, and that's very easy. The difference is to put the weight and the strength on. So Dricus now is a middleweight, but with the power, I would also almost want to say the power of a heavyweight, a light heavyweight. Not a light heavyweight, a lightish heavyweight. So he's very strong. Yeah. So if we decide to make that move, it won't be a sudden move. Like I say, we've been 5 years at middle. We have to at least defend the belt 3 times before I even think about it. But there's a big possibility that that's his future.
Wow. And talking about putting on weight, obviously, Israel looked significantly a bit bigger at the open workouts last night, which is interesting considering, he's obviously fighting Dricus. I think there's the acknowledgement that Dricus is incredibly strong. He looks in prime physical condition, Dricus. What do you think that says about Israel having to put the weight on and not staying at his usual weight? Not that he's not going to become any heavier, but obviously more muscle mass. Do you think that has any impact on this fight on Sunday?
So looking at you, I can obviously see that you do train.
Little, yes.
Okay. So it's a simple calculation. If you really, really train super hard, fitness and conditioning and weights, eat perfectly, diet perfectly for 7 days a week for 1 year, you'll be happy if you can pick up 2 kgs of muscle. So I don't believe he picked up pure muscle and strength and stayed conditioned. Plus, you must remember, so I think there was maybe a little bit more to it there on his Mexican trip, the trip that he went over for a couple of months or whatever. He actually admitted to some of that. But doesn't matter. I mean, there's no way you can put up that weight and have the power to compete with Dricus. It's impossible. So I think it's a lot more water than muscle. So and that's going to give him a harder cut So let's see how deep he can go with the apparent muscles that he's put on.
And last two quick ones from me, Morne, then I'll let you get out of here. Dricus has talked about he thinks the third round finish is what's going to happen on Sunday, and I just wanted to get how you see this fight playing out, and sort of what advantages you can hold over Israel, and where you see this fight playing out, really.
So obviously I cannot share with you our game plan, so maybe I can. So our plan is to rush forward, swing, kick, and try to hit him, and if possible take him down. No, I'm kidding. So, no, we know Easy is very evasive. They've got their plan in place. We've got our plan A, B, and C in place. So we're not stupid about it. I'm not stupid about it. So we will honestly fight him where we are better. If the opportunity arises, we won't just force it. That's very important because he's a counter puncher, counter kicker, and he's very evasive. So I'm not going to allow Dricus to rush anything. If we keep it standing and Dricus can match him or beat, we're not there to match him, to beat him. That's what we'll do. It's going to be on our terms.
Last one from me. The toughest game of rugby union I ever played was against Port Rouge Gymnasium, and obviously the Springboks are playing the Wallabies here on tomorrow night. What are your thoughts on the match? What's the score?
You saw what happened last weekend.
Yeah,
so I think I know that they've swapped a lot of players out.
Yeah,
So I think it's going to be at some stage, watching the game last week, and I thought, sheesh, these guys are getting a 50-0. Yeah. So look, there's a lot of motivation, a lot of South Africans in Perth, a lot of South Africans that flew over for both the Dricus' fight and the rugby match. So I think that they're going to be aggressive as Dricus will be on Sunday. So it will be definitely better than last Saturday.
Morne, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much. It's an honour, and look, all the best for you guys on Sunday. Dricus looks in prime condition, and I appreciate you guys' hospitality towards me and AJ. It means a lot to us, so thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you.